All right, everybody. Before we dive into today's episode, we're brought to you by a few fantastic brands that sponsor this show. The first one is Routine. Now, this one has been a sponsor for a long time. If you haven't tried it yet, I don't know what you're doing because I've been talking about them for years. But ultimately, what was Routine designed to do? Well, when we sleep, we lose between a pound and a half of water, mostly just from sweating, something I learned when I first met these guys. Each packet of Routine comes with half an organic lemon, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, all 6 essential electrolytes, and no sugar. I always like to say it's really just 3 ingredients. It's lemons, it's apple cider vinegar, it's Himalayan sea salt. I dump that into a glass of water first thing in the morning, rehydrate myself. The days I have it versus the days I don't, phenomenal on the days I do. I genuinely, it's one of those products where you feel it immediately. You know when you don't have it. Trusted ingredients, made convenient. These guys, they're the bomb. I love working with them. I've loved supporting them over the years. Give them a shot if you haven't already. Go to yourroutine.com. You can use code ShaneWhite30 at checkout for 30% off your first order. They're also available on Amazon. You can go there, get on subscription. That's what I would do. Get a 30-pack, throw it on subscribe and save, get it once a month. If you like to have more than one a day, or if you share it with folks in your house, you're probably going to need it more than once a month, or get 2 bags a month. Both of those are great options. You can save up to 15% every month on Amazon with Subscribe and Save. All right. Our next guest, holy cow, they have been a guest, but our next sponsor is NeuroRoast. Today's episode is brought to you by NeuroRoast, a company that's dedicated to helping you optimize your brain function and overall well-being. NeuroRoast's flagship product is their premium mushroom coffee, which is made with an organic single origin coffee and their signature blend of 5 different functional mushrooms: cordyceps, lion's mane, reishi, turkey tail, and chaga. Mushroom coffee is a new and exciting way to supercharge your day. Unlike regular coffee, which can cause jitters and crashes, mushroom coffee provides a more balanced and sustained energy boost, allowing you to stay focused and productive throughout the day. And with NeuroRoast ground and instant coffee options, you can enjoy the benefits of mushroom coffee wherever and whenever you need it. And here's some great news for my listeners today. NeuroRoast is offering an exclusive discount code just for you. You can use code ShaneWhite, that's just Shane White, during checkout at neuroroast.com to get 30% off your order of NeuroRoast mushroom coffee. Whether you choose the ground or instant option, that's just Shane White for 30% off your purchase at neuroroast.com. And all right, we actually have a new sponsor on the show. Couldn't be more excited. Love these guys. They are also out of Chicago. I have worked with them, supported them, actually invested in them. So if you can't tell, I love these guys. You do now. It's called Haywell. And for any of you who know me, you know I'm into energy drinks. I'm into caffeine, sometimes to my detriment. And Haywell has honestly been a great alternative, not just caffeine or caffeinated product, but it's been a product that I'm able to use at nighttime too, because they have a calming line as well. But really, Haywell, I'll read this to you guys. Modern life can be hard, but your wellness shouldn't have to be. Being well doesn't mean being perfect. Getting fit doesn't mean you have to fit into a mold. We need a reminder that little more joyful steps can add up to something truly meaningful. We can do hard things, but that doesn't mean we always need to be so hardcore. Wellness is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. They created Haywell to be a simple invitation to a new movement for modern wellness where all are welcome, where small steps can add up to something big, where you get more high fives and less side eyes, where you have more fun and less frustration, where flavor and function are equally famous. Wellness doesn't come in a can, but we can help. They've created a line of low-calorie, functional beverages that taste delicious and help you be a little more well in every mood and moment. They're equally proud of creating a more welcoming, realistic, and joyful flavor of wellness culture where more people feel seen, supported, and inspired to embrace a wellness journey that truly feels better for you from the beginning. Haywell is here for you from rise and shine to relax and unwind. Ashley and Britt, like I said, the co-founders of Haywell, I've worked with them for a while now, and they're just unbelievable people. If you guys want to try their products, go to the link in the bio. As I'm recording this, I don't have a discount code, but I'm sure we can get one for you guys. So take a look at the link in the bio. You can go to haywell.com. You can also go to Amazon. They're on Amazon, and it's a great place to get it. They're also available in Target. You can find them in Foxtrot. You can find them in a lot of different places now. They're doing a great job of getting distribution. But I would say the 2 easiest places, livinghaywell.com. If you just Google Haywell, you'll find that pretty quickly. And then also Amazon. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Here's today's show. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Shane White Show. I'm pumped today. Adam, I don't know if you knew this. I didn't really tell you this before, but you quickly became on my short list for 2026 because of what you're building. So I'm actually very fired up. I know I told you that very briefly, but for everyone listening, Adam Epstein is on the podcast today. Adam, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Thanks, Shane. I'm honored to be on the short list, and we got it in by the second week of January. So
Hey, didn't take me long to get
we
you.
knew I must have been high on the list.
You were.
I love it.
Where I don't want to tease it too hard because there's a bunch of things I want to jump into today for everybody, but everyone listening will get a very clear idea of why you're on my short list of the tool, the platform you're building now. I'm very bullish on, as you already know.
Sure.
But for everyone listening, do you mind giving everyone just a quick background on you, and then we can dive in deeper?
Yeah, totally. I'm Adam, co-founder and CEO of a company called Gigi. Gigi's the AI media manager for the Amazon DSP. I won't go too far back, but I've been working in Amazon ads for about 8 years, as have many folks on our team. I was previously co-president of a large retail media and Amazon ad tech company called Perpetua. Perpetua was one of those classic product market fit stories when I joined in 2018, where everything was up and to the right from the moment I joined, not because of me, but because we had an amazing team and we timed it right and the product was right at the right time. And this was when Amazon's advertising business was a $5 to $10 billion business. Now it's about a $70 billion business.
Crazy.
And so we grew the business. It was awesome. Perpetua sold to a public company called Essential in 2021 for a little over $100 million. I worked for Essential for 2 years. After the earnout post-acquisition, I left to start what was the first version of Gigi. I knew I wanted to continue to build in this space. I had been a founder before. This is now my third time being a founder. And the first version of Gigi, funny enough, was a non-consensus bet that proved to be wrong.
Oh, okay.
So we had a belief that connected TV, streaming TV advertising would be dominated across and centralized across big tech and big media. And big media would look a lot like big tech, i.e. Netflix, Disney, Paramount, NBC, in which they had the means and incentives to build their own ad tech and become a walled garden, meaning they would force people to buy on their pipes, on their ad tech.
Yeah.
Like Amazon and YouTube, Amazon, Google, and YouTube are walled gardens. You have to buy Amazon DSP and Prime Video inventory on Amazon's ad tech. And similarly, you have to do that on Google's ad tech for YouTube. And so we believed that there would be this fragmentation across CTV ads, and we would have the ability to unify the fragmentation by building on top of their ad tech, building first on Amazon. And that didn't prove to be true.
Okay.
All of those companies basically said, we're going to be as open as possible. You can buy however you want to buy. And one of the main beneficiaries of that was Amazon's ad tech and the Amazon DSP. So whereas when we began building Gigi, the only primary like premium TV ads that you could buy were Prime Video ads. But quickly into our Gigi journey, you could start to buy Prime Video, you could sort of buy Disney, Netflix, Roku, Paramount Plus, and NBC inventory via Amazon. And so when that initial thesis didn't materialize, we kind of took a step back in summer 2024. We said to ourselves, hey, we knew we needed to be AI native and AI first, and we didn't really know what it meant at the time. Like obviously AI was totally transforming the way in which we worked. Like simply put, if you're a tech company, if you're not going all in on AI, then it's going to be tough to exist in 2026 and beyond. And so we made that bet. We didn't know what that meant. So we sort of canvassed the companies that were doing really, really well at the application layer in AI and found that there were a lot of common characteristics that we could bring to advertising. You know, some of those leading companies were able to identify a job in the workforce, like software engineer for coding agents, outbound sales for outbound sales agents, support and legal were the ones that really took off in 2025 specifically. To identify a job in the workforce in which there's a lot of people in that job, in which the people in that job are performing a lot of rote, manual, and repetitive tasks. And I don't know, Shane, you haven't spent too much time in the Amazon DSP yet, but there's an incredible amount of annoying buttons that you need to push to execute the campaigns that you need to execute on behalf of your clients.
Sure.
And so we thought that we could replicate that for building the AI Enterprise Media Manager. And our first product was for the Amazon DSP. So we literally rebuilt our product from the ground up, like totally scrapped what we had before that TV product, came to market with 10 customers in this past summer, have quickly ballooned to grow 700% on number of advertisers managed and ad spend managed. We now work with some of Amazon's largest advertisers globally. And in November, we won a pretty prestigious Amazon Partner Award, the Global Technology Innovation Partner Award.
Wow.
So,
congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It was a big win for us. So we're not killing it, but we're certainly on the right track of building an awesome company, and it's been super fun along the way.
I would argue you're definitely killing it. It sounds like you're killing it, but you know,
We have a long
you're
way
humble.
to go,
I
Shane.
love it.
We have a long way
just
to go.
Getting started. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
we're just getting started and have a long way to go.
It's cool to have you on because I don't know if I told you this on the first call. We've been on a couple calls recently. I'd heard your name. I just heard your name a couple times. I think just meeting the folks at Perpetua back in the day, because I think we started doing some stuff in like 22 or 23. It's crazy how long it's been.
Okay.
So I just heard about you, and then John obviously mentioned you, and so you were one of those names that like I kept hearing, and everyone's like, "Oh, you haven't met Adam yet?" And I'm like, "Shit, I just need to meet Adam." Apparently, like Adam's a guy.
We're here.
Yeah, exactly. We're here.
We made it.
So it's cool to have you on, and I would love to go back. Was getting into tech, getting into software, was that something you always wanted to do, or did this?
I'm actually a lawyer by background. I went into law because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Wow. Okay.
I'm a big basketball junkie, and my dream job in university and even in law school was being the GM of an NBA team.
Cool. Is it still the long-term dream? You're like Gary Vee going to buy the Jets kind of thing?
I don't need to be the owner.
Are you going to buy the Toronto?
Making the trades.
Yeah, the Raptors, they need a GM maybe.
Yeah.
Someday.
Well, Bobby Webster is good at his job, but the way you got that job back in the day was you were a smart guy with a law degree, passionate about basketball. And so that's kind of why I went into law school. Every summer I would write handwritten notes to every single GM. This was before cold email was a thing. What? Every single GM asking for summer internships.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. And so in Canada, you have to go through this process. Like after law school, you have to work for a year to get called to the bar, called articling. So I actually didn't have so all these GMs that I emailed, I actually got feedback back from many of them. There was about 7 or 8. I mean, they didn't give me a job, but they at least.
That's cool that you still got a response.
Yeah. And this is so long ago. And so they said, like, look, like we don't offer summer internships. Like our summers are actually really quiet, but we do offer full year internships. Like when you have a full year, we encourage you to apply. And the first time I had a full year was, I think, 2010, 2011, after I got called to the bar. And that summer, the NBA wasn't on a lockout, but they were like about to be on a lockout.
I remember this.
So all of these teams were cutting staff. So like the one time I finally have this window of opportunity, it's just ceased to exist. And I knew I didn't want to be a lawyer. I was playing a ton of sports at the time, like just like recreational sports. Like I was organizing baseball games, men's league basketball, stuff like that. And I built at the time a company that was a mobile sports scheduling app for recreational athletes. So rather than reply all who's in, who's out emails, it was called Huddlers.
Great name.
That was the company. Yeah, thank you. It didn't do well. Like we unfortunately shut the company down 2 years later. It was very difficult to monetize. And I think that was a passion project more than anything. But that's how I got into tech. I solved a problem for myself, a 25-year-old professional recreational athlete. And now I'm playing much less basketball, unfortunately, due to a couple ankle surgeries, but I'm moderately better at building technology companies.
Did you build a software for this company?
I wasn't the engineer. I had a co-founder who helped build the technology behind it.
Very cool. But you had to go find this guy and hunt him down and found a co-founder. Very cool. I feel like that's something I'm starting to realize is like a theme of you. You've done a great job of, you see a problem, you go out and you find how to create a team, which is, again, I think that's a skill. As I'm getting older and building my own business, I'm starting to realize that's a real skill set that most people don't have.
Well, you know what, Shane? Life is a team sport, and it's more fun when you can win together.
Hell yeah. Love that.
It's not just about building the team, but it's about bringing people along on the journey. And, you know, one of the things that I learned a great deal of at my time at Perpetua is the CEO and founder of Perpetua is this incredible Silicon Valley mad scientist entrepreneur named Roscoe Hill. He was an early Palantir employee. Then he started a company called Blend, which went public. So Roscoe's done unbelievably well. And through the Perpetua journey, Roscoe was incredibly generous with equity to top performers. And when Perpetua had an outcome, there wasn't necessarily a life-changing amount of money for that many people, but there was certainly a life-comforting amount of money that allowed a lot of other people in the company to start companies. So it's pretty amazing that there's this now diaspora of early Perpetua employees through their learnings, but also economic comfort that Roscoe provided us, that they've been
Wow.
able to build companies. So in addition to us at Gigi, there's an amazing team of folks that are building this really cool company called Co-Brand, which helps musicians distribute their music through creators, and
Wow.
another bunch of awesome team members that are building this company called Tempo, which is basically like a vibe coding app for designers.
Oh, wow.
And
I think I've actually
yeah,
heard of Tempo. I
great,
think I actually have. It's funny that you say that because I
great.
feel like I just was looking at this not that long ago.
So all that's to say, it's important. Like life is a team sport. Philosophically, I believe it's really important when building a company to be as generous with equity as possible to top performers, and that's how you get top performers to be in your company. And I've certainly tried to adopt that principle at Gigi.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, again, this is like the first business I'm building where, I would say like it's gotten past the point of like barely off the ground. So building a team and finding talent is like a whole thing that, I think when you start something, unless you've done it, you don't realize it's like a huge part of it being successful long term, right? So what was the bridge between kind of this like limbo period out of law school and not getting to work with an MBA team to getting to Perpetua? Did you have some hops in between there
Yeah,
before you landed
so I
Perpetua?
started that failed company, Huddlers. Then I started a company that was a mobile payments app in restaurants. So we were a Canadian leader in mobile payments in full service restaurants. So you would go to a full service restaurant, you would say, I'm paying with Tab. We were called Tab, and it had Uber style payments, and you just got up and go.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
we did okay. We were only in Canada, but we had
Yeah.
US competitors, companies called Reserve and Cover.
Hmm.
But we were ultimately bought by our UK competitor, a company called Velocity. It wasn't a big win, but ultimately Velocity was bought thereafter, like many years later, for a sizable sum by Capital One.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
So you were onto something because I'm thinking of like the years you've been doing that. Like that was a prime
that was
time
like
for some of that.
2013 to 2015.
Yeah, timing. Yeah,
And then it was early. Still, people, we pay with credit cards in restaurants and we still have to wait for the bill. And
very
it
true.
is what it is. I think it was too early and, again, a tough problem to solve and maybe not a profitable problem to solve. After I worked for Velocity, I joined a large Indian fintech company called Paytm. And so Paytm is like Alipay in India, and they had a large office in Toronto.
Mm.
And one of the co-founders of Paytm headed up that office and said, hey, we want to start expanding Paytm internationally to Canada. And I was the GM of Canada and then like future international expansion for a little bit. And the thing that's interesting about that nugget of my story is that's where I met my now co-founder and CTO of Gigi, a guy named Chalet. So we met over my 2 years at Paytm. I left Paytm to join Perpetua. He left Paytm to join a company called Loblaws, which is Canada's largest retail
Oh yeah.
media arm. He wrote the first line of code to Loblaws' retail media business, which is now,
Whoa.
I don't know the details, but probably like a few $100 million retail media business. And I joined Perpetua. But the fun thing about Paytm was it was a very unique experience because Paytm is this like meteoric, incredible success story for India. And I really had never seen excellence at work in my professional career. I was a lawyer. I was a founder of a failed startup. And then I was a founder of a company that did at best okay. And at Paytm, I really saw what it took to be excellent. I really saw the commitment, the drive, the ambition to be excellent. I saw excellence in software engineering. We had a phenomenal software engineering team. And I saw excellence in both speed and ambition that you typically don't see in Canadian technology companies. And I didn't necessarily love my time there. I butted
Okay.
heads with my boss for 2 years, but it
One of
was an
those.
incredible learning experience.
Do you think now in hindsight, because I have a similar story, do you think sometimes having those roles at that point in your life where you're butting heads and you're just like not loving what you're doing, but you're at a really impressive place. Do you feel like that's kind of cemented some knowledge in you that maybe it took a while to realize like
Yeah,
what you took away from it until you left?
I don't think the knowledge of like how I could have handled that personal relationship was what cemented things in my life, but
Sure.
I was made that decision to join that company very intentionally because it seemed like it was a company that was doing phenomenally well, that had big, bold ambitions. And I thought I wanted exposure to that. It was very cool. Like one of my first weeks was actually on an onboarding in India. And at
Wow.
that time, Alibaba was its main investor. And that week that I was there, the Alibaba team wrote them like a $400 million check. And I was there with all
Wow.
like the Alibaba execs. It was super cool. So you got exposure to some amazing things. that like people in Toronto don't typically get exposed to. And I value that experience tremendously.
Yeah, sometimes I think back to even my career, and I think about some of the roles I've had, and maybe in the moment, I don't think I realized like the gravity of even the importance of the work that was happening. I maybe just felt like this wasn't that exciting or cool. And now you look back, like for me, like being at Walmart.com back when I was there and Jet got acquired and we're like scaling up these first fulfillment centers, like you look back and like, damn, that was like actually like really important work. You know
Did
what
you
I
get
mean?
exposure to Mark Lore? Or
Never met
Lore?
him. I met his like hand team. Nate Faust was a guy that like
Yeah.
basically led up his fulfillment arm. I got to work with. Never got to meet Mark. Was on calls and stuff, but never in person.
I have a good friend that's the CEO of Grubhub in the US right now that's
Okay,
reporting to Mark globally,
no way.
like reporting to Mark directly. His name's Howie Migdal. And I caught up with Howie in Chicago. Howie's based in Chicago.
No way.
I caught up with him recently, and just the stories of Mark are phenomenal. Like you can
He's.
tell why he's the man.
I mean, you can't do what he's done in like like the multiple exits the way he's exited and disruption, and then obviously like Amazon, Walmart. Like it's incredible. That guy's on the short list too with you. I mean, it's like we gotta get Mark on here because like then I'll be in the GM or what is he, part owner, and sit next to A-Rod at half the Wolves games. I'm like, he's just an ecom guy. Diapers.com.
But look, you would think that Mark has had his successes. He's resting on his laurels. He's the owner of the Timberwolves. But my friend Howie tells me he is just super dialed in at building this business, his current business, Wonder.
Yeah.
And he is just all in all the time, every day.
So cool. I love hearing stories like that.
Stuff. Yeah, totally. Love it.
Yeah, that guy's nuts. But it's cool, right? Because I think you get to, like, even if you don't get to interact, like I didn't get to interact directly with him, but I got to interact with like his direct reports, and you feel like the ripples of people like that. Like they really do kind of like, they just like, I don't even know how to explain it. They just like spread through the organization. You can like feel the energy. I know like Nate probably did a lot of the same types of things that Mark did. Like a couple classic stories of like being at a fulfillment center till 11 p.m. and then everyone needed to be back there at 5 a.m. Like it was like that kind of, we weren't sleeping on the floor, but about as close as was that to like figure this shit out to make sure we could operate these warehouses kind of thing.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Exactly. So that's cool, man. So Paytm, when you got the opportunity to go to Perpetua, was that an offensive move? Did they reach out to you? Like how does that come about? Because obviously you jumped there as like a huge role too, right?
So around the time I was starting my first company, I met this guy named Joe Rideout, who was also starting a company at some Toronto tech founders meetup. He actually started a cool company called Relay, which, if you can believe it, 15 years ago, it was a messenger app just for exchanging gifts. Like gifts were tough to come by 15 years ago, and it was a very fun messenger app. And Joe and I met, and we kept in touch, and we always looked at ways to work together. He joined Perpetua about a year before me, and we had lunch in September 2018 and said, like, we have this product. We're starting to get customers. All of our teams are engineers and designers and product people. We don't have anyone on the go-to-market side. Do you think you're interested? And I said, yeah, like, where do I sign up? Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And so Roscoe, the founder and CEO, was like, dude, like, why are you just like all in, like immediately? Why are you 2 thumbs up? And I said, look, I was like many people, a shareholder in Amazon at the time, and I nerd out on the stocks that I owned directly. And I had seen that Amazon's advertising business was, as described, it was a double-digit billion-dollar category, growing over 100% year on year at the world's largest company. And I don't think in the history of the world had that ever been the case.
Yeah, wow. Good insight of you, though.
And I'm like, look, like I trust Joe. I think he's the man. You seem to be awesome, and you've capitalized this business in a great way. And I think that if we just work really hard and figure it out, like there's too big of a tailwind around building around Amazon ads for us not to mess this up. And sure enough, it all worked out in the end for all of us.
Very cool, man. Yeah, I mean, when you came in knowing that, you have a lot of engineers there, was it, I don't want to say shambles, was it like there was a system and there was a process, but like, did you have to kind of like build everything?
No process.
Oh, there wasn't when you joined?
There was a product that a few customers used.
Okay.
But funny, at that lunch, I'm like, Joe, like, how many customers do you have? He's like, oh, we have like 15. And how much revenue do you have? Oh, we have like, I don't know, 5, 10K a month in revenue. And my first week, I just asked everyone, like, who are actually our customers and how much do we make in revenue? And no one knew the exact answer.
Wow. Okay. It was just, yeah,
So
no
I'm
one.
like, Joe, like, what's going on here? Like, you told me you had revenue and customers, but sure enough, it all worked out.
That's, yeah, it went a long way from there.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
crazy. I mean, but it makes sense. Like, so did it must, so Roscoe basically started it like, hey, I just have this concept. Like, let's get the software built. Cause that's always, that was one of the things I want to talk about today is like, you're obviously, we'll get into Gigi in a minute too, but with Perpetua, you were there early enough to see, is that how in your experience, a lot of successful startup software companies work? Like you really got to just kind of like focus on, you're solving a problem with software, like build at least an MVP of the software before you, cause like obviously the hard thing I've always thought of when I look at a software company as an external, like I don't know a lot about software companies, is you can't go sell it until you've built it, but you
Yeah.
need revenue to build it unless you're raising capital. And it seems like a chicken and an egg for
Well,
software.
yes and no a little bit, right? Like you can get early signals and customer feedback before you actually build a product. Like you can get mock-ups, you can gauge interest, you can see what people like, see what people don't like, and then actually build it.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily think that you need to build this massive product and get revenue before you're able to raise capital in many instances. Like capital is readily available for the right founders solving the right problems right now.
Okay. Got it.
And so, with Gigi, I was a third time founder who had domain experience in this space. I had a conviction on a bet that ultimately proved to be wrong, but ultimately, early stage investors will all tell you they bet on the jockey, not the horse. And
Sure.
hopefully their bet on me and our team was a bet that we would figure this out. And we've certainly improved our position than the initial product that we built. So you generally speaking have a bet, you have a thesis, you get a product to market that can provide value to customers as fast as possible. You get feedback on that and you go. The funny thing is that when you don't have product market fit and you don't have customers loving your product, deciding what to build next, it's actually really hard because you're kind of picking straws and hoping that something hits.
Okay.
But
Sure.
your job is actually so much easier once you have customers that are using your product and telling you what exactly they want. And sure, you don't need to listen to exactly what they have to say, but you have to listen to the spirit of what they are saying and the problem that they want solved, and then ultimately build a solution to affect that. So one of the early signs that this new version of Gigi was certainly working is that we knew exactly what we needed to build. Like
Okay.
the moment we got this in our customers' hands, they were like, awesome, love it, need this, ship that, awesome, love it, need this. And so we're just knocking those things off. So initially, the first 6 months of Gigi was like closing the gap on those like immediate customer needs. But then there's a little bit of an opportunity to continue to close that gap while go on offense because your customers are ultimately not going to be able to know the potential things that you could build and problems that you could solve for them. But if you have conviction on those, you can guide them along on the journey by continuing to keep them happy on the things that they touch every single day while coming up with new things that can expand the scope of responsibility that your product offers.
Got it. Yeah. It makes a ton of sense. It's like a iterate, move, iterate, move, iterate, move kind of game. Before you jumped and officially started Gigi, like it sounds like you kind of explained the Perpetua exit, and it sounded like there's an opportunity to kind of like go figure out what you wanted to do next, and you had a little bit of a runway. Was this concept something where, like, I'm always curious when someone starts something where it's already at the phases you're at. Did you make like a business plan? Did you do like all this official stuff, or did you kind of were like, hey, I just have this like thesis, and I'm gonna go find the right people, and we're just gonna go figure it out, or somewhere in the middle?
We a little bit of both. I'm a big memo guy. I love writing in like full sentence prose. It's like I've worked, I guess, too much with Amazon over the past 8 years, and this is something that's like clearly rubbed off on me. But
Is this like email, handwritten?
no, like written, like a written document
Okay.
that like you save as a PDF. Like there was like a grand vision document of what Gigi should be in summer 2023 that I wrote to bring people along the journey. Think it
Cool.
was like a 5 or 6 page memo. Sent it to potential investors, sent it to potential team members. Ultimately, threw everything out that was in that memo by summer 2024. But in general, just we all play to our strengths. Shane, I'm not a software engineer. I don't put down pixels. but I guess my legal background has
Yeah.
trained me in being a half decent writer. And I really try and use that strength as much as possible by crafting internal memos, strategy docs, internal documents to convey where we are going as a company, convey the status of things, convey product and strategy decisions that we've made. I think some of our investors and team members certainly appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did. Early days Gigi, I wrote basically a memo on what's Gigi in summer 2023.
Very cool. That's cool because you have a brain dump of what you were thinking something could be. That's cool. That's a cool idea. I've never heard of that actually. Is that an Amazon thing that I've just never
Totally
heard of?
an Amazon thing.
Is that kind of like the meeting thing, like where you had to
well,
write
you have
the
to write a
document?
6-page memo and then everyone sits down and they read the memo.
Yeah. So
but
wild.
It's a really there is no greater way to have clarity of thought than actually writing down your thoughts in prose and not using an LLM to write down
Yes.
bullet point thoughts, but
Sure.
actually sit down, write cogent sentences that clearly articulate a unique point of view that you've thought out. And I think the ultimate readers of that, whether it be customers, investors, or potential team members, appreciate clarity of thought and conviction.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's no better way to do that than in written docs.
Interesting. That's really cool. And it's cool you're able to send it around to investors and potential people to, loop them in.
Yeah, for sure. Our seed round. So we raised $2.5 million as a seed round in April 2023.
Congrats.
I didn't have a deck. I just had the memo.
Oh, nice. I hate decks, so that's a cool.
I hate decks too. Yeah, it's funny. But the funny thing is, our main investor said, hey, we're about to raise another round in the not too distant future. Our lead investor who led that $2.5 million round said, hey, next round, the memo game's not going to work. You actually need a deck. Yeah, you need a deck.
Did you do a deck?
We haven't yet. We will build it soon.
I think you stick to the memo. I think you say, no way, this is how I do it.
I don't think it works.
Maybe not going to happen.
Check sizes are a little larger. You got to play by their rules.
That makes a lot of sense. It's funny. I'm just laughing because I'm envisioning you being like, yeah, hey, Shane told me, yeah, we're gonna stick to the doc. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That's cool, man. Though I've heard the whole Amazon 6-page doc thing. I've always wondered how that I was always thinking back to my days in corporate America, how funny that would have been, and how many meetings would have been canceled. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? How many of those meetings you probably back in your old days were just dumb and repetitive, and people are in meetings all day. That if there's just no well thought out reason for the meeting, it's just, it's on the calendar and we should talk about the same shit every week kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's interesting. Okay. So to get back, let's jump into Gigi.
Sure.
So Gigi, I'm trying to think the first time I heard about Gigi. I can't remember the exact time. I remember I came across your website and I was super intrigued. So I think probably for people who are, know some things about advertising, but even for the average consumer, we have a lot of CPG folks on here that, maybe don't do anything. They have an agency or they have someone that runs advertising for them. Could you just kind of give us maybe this is part of the doc you just referenced, but very high level, why was this a good idea? Why is this a problem that you guys are trying to solve? And what's the purpose for Gigi?
Sure. So that's a good question. The problem that we're trying to solve is the folks that are actively managing campaigns on the Amazon DSP. This is the narrow scope of the Amazon DSP at the moment. But you know what? I'll back it up a little bit and just say, Gigi, we're building the AI media manager for the enterprise. So if you think of the particular categories that we think a lot about are retail media, so on-site retail media like Amazon ads, Walmart ads, and then enterprise DSPs like Amazon Trade Desk and as well Google's DSP DV360. And if you think about the jobs that many of these people do every day, they're spent clicking mundane buttons over and over again in pursuit of achieving some sort of outcome for the client, whether it be launching a campaign and getting sales, growing someone's business, increasing brand awareness. And if we look at, for example, some of our top customers, which are some of the largest agencies in the world, no one signed up to be a media manager of agency X to copy and paste line items over and over again for 2 to 3 days.
Sure.
We spoke with a very large advertiser who says every single quarter they have to, this gets in so deep in the nuances of the Amazon DSP, but they're a very large advertiser and there's someone at their agency who has to spend a week updating creative tags just so that their campaigns can run every single quarter. That's someone's job. And so like that person,
Wow.
when they said, I want to get this job at this awesome agency, no one said that they want to,
That's the job I want.
they created tags.
Yeah.
And so because there's so many buttons pushed at large agencies and brands to execute these outcomes, people need to hire a lot. So if you're an agency, as you know, Shane, like you can't increase your customers and revenue exponentially without actually hiring humans to push buttons and do things. And the magic of agentic AI is you can start to assign AI a lot of these mundane tasks that people don't want to do, so that you as an agency owner could, in theory, exponentially increase customers and revenue while maintaining the same team or even having a smaller team. And that's powerful on a couple of different dimensions. That's powerful, one, because you are able to scale your agency more profitably. So I'm sure you have a fixed ratio of customer and revenue to number of people that you have. And typically services businesses and agencies have been tracked on a specific EBITDA multiple because services businesses don't scale like software businesses. But with agentic AI, the magic of agentic AI is that agentic AI could allow a services businesses to scale like a software business and allow you, the business owner, to be valued for the business that you've created in a higher multiple and a different multiple. So that's one.
Wow.
The other is that one of our North Stars is, can we positively change the way that people work in this industry? So again, people do not enjoy pressing these buttons over and over again. One of the things that we like to say when we onboard a new customer is, what is the Venn diagram of buttons that you hate pressing the most and buttons that you press the most in the Amazon DSP? And how can we automate tasks for Gigi to execute so that Gigi takes that on instead of you?
Oh, that's cool.
And so if you remove this from those people, one, those folks will genuinely enjoy their work more. The work that they're doing is being strategic, working with clients, having more opportunities to have client interaction. But I think the most impactful thing is that hopefully if you, the business owner, Shane, realize that you're more profitable because you're implementing agentic AI, invariably those team members that are awesome, you could probably pay them more.
For sure.
If you're generating all of these profits by injecting AI and not having to hire team members, then your ability to pay these team members and reward them for their amazing work can actually be higher. So not only are they enjoying their jobs more, but there's an ability for them to be paid significantly more through AI.
Very cool. Yeah, that latter part I hadn't really thought through that. That's a really good point. I think what's interesting too, you showed me some glimpses of Gigi, and we've been talking about Gigi before the podcast. DSP, transparently, I mean, for anyone listening that knows what we do, I mean, that's just not an area that we've really explored. Funny enough, Adam, an hour before we got on the call together, I was actually talking with some folks at Amazon. For long story short, one of our clients that they have access to some like AMC and DSP folks, and I just had never met these people before. And so they were just giving me a look under the hood of some stuff I've never looked at. And it came right back to you, to be honest with you. I was like, wow, like just some of the capabilities of the data I didn't even know was available. But then it quickly hit me of like, oh my God, this is like endless amounts of buttons you'd have to push. And it was just almost like overwhelming, like the amount of query information. And it actually cemented so much of what you showed me within Gigi, with how the AI can automate like campaign structure and building. Because maybe I'm a weirdo, but like the thing that I have fallen in love with advertising over the last 6 years of running Noble is not setting up campaigns, not tweaking anything and hitting buttons. That's like, to your point, it's monotonous. There's a ton of it you have to do. It's like it's the creative side. It's like figuring out what is the thing we're missing. What are the things we should be targeting, doing those, and then seeing results for your client and growth. Like that's what's fun. So finding ways to speed up that process. And again, I want to get into the weeds of what Gigi can do, but even what you've shown me a glimpse of, for anyone listening, like just to give you kind of a framework, if you know anything about advertising, like Adam showed me like basically like what it looks like to get into Gigi and really like see what the interaction looks like. And for anyone listening, if you've built a campaign anywhere, whether that's Amazon, I would argue like Meta, Google, anywhere, it's like it asked me a bunch of the prompts, but then it was like ChatGPT. So it was like interacting, and obviously like the LLM that you guys are like building on, like it understands everything about advertising. So like just to give everyone kind of a dumbed down version, it was like talking to ChatGPT, but it's basically like your advertising professional that you're talking to. So it's able to just like build and structure all these things that, again, I think the example you showed me, it built out a whole campaign strategy and structure length of time that, I mean, that easily would have taken someone, I mean, who knows, but that could take you 30 minutes, an hour maybe to like build and think through and structure all that stuff. And it did it in 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. It did it in a couple minutes, not 10 seconds.
I'll give you credit.
A couple.
Yeah.
I don't want to mislead anyone listening.
Sure.
That
It was
might
fast.
Use Gigi.
So fast.
Generally
though.
speaking, campaign building with Gigi can be done in minutes. And for the most part, most of our advertisers and customers say that replaces something that would be done in 30, 40 minutes.
Totally. I couldn't believe it. Like transparently, it was remarkable how fast it was. So, I mean, to maybe take one step back, the one thing that was crazy to me was obviously the version I saw you guys have been working on for a little bit of time now, and you have clients and you're building this whole infrastructure. I always love this 0 to 1 process of building anything. For you, like you had experience obviously with Perpetua and advertising, but it seems like a huge bite to go take to like, where do you start? Like, how did you guys stop and like think about like, where do you start? Because Gigi, there's already so much it's doing, but you couldn't start with all that. You had to start with like one little piece of like,
Sure.
It does this. How do you guys think about all that? It just seems like it hurts my brain thinking about.
A couple things. So one of the most remarkable things about working with AI is that you're able to move really, really fast. And I don't actually mean like, do your engineers use Cursor or Claude Code? Yes, our engineers do, and it makes them more productive. And in turn, that makes us faster. But when you don't need to buy, if for you and anyone that's listening, like you understand you work with like software as a service vendors, these legacy SaaS companies, for every single new feature that they need to build, you have to literally like build the UI. You have to build every button required for every single way in which someone wants to work with that feature, as an example.
Sure.
And that takes time. That actually takes a lot of time. But the really cool thing with AI is that you can just let the LLM do the work. And you just need to expose there's a phrase in Agentic AI called tool. You just need to expose the tool that the LLM can call for the LLM to make use of that to get that feature. So what's an example of that? So, and I'll explain the concept of tool calling really quickly for everyone. So the LLMs, like OpenAI's LLM is incredibly intelligent, but OpenAI's LLM and Chat and GPT, the API, it can't change inventory on an Amazon DSP campaign. It doesn't have that as a tool that it can call. And the tool that it needs is the API endpoint of the Amazon DSP to edit inventory. So If you wanted to edit inventory on a legacy SaaS app, you'd actually have to build buttons and workflows and everything for someone to actually change the inventory and then all like the potential options. But with a agentic AI and with a company like ours, you just need to expose the tool and then you say, Gigi, change the inventory across these line items with these inventory types. And Gigi will go do that.
Yeah.
So I say all this because you can move so much faster when you do that. And so from our experience with the first version of Gigi, which was just streaming TV ads on the Amazon DSP, all of our customers said, we need you to do more. We need full funnel Amazon DSP. We can't just have this point solution just for this one thing. And so we said, hey, we need Gigi to be this AI media manager for the Amazon DSP, but it needs to have full funnel execution. Every single tactic that someone would have, it needs to have that.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that was the baseline level of functionality that we knew that we needed. And then since we've gotten this product in customers' hands, they've all said, now we need Gigi to do this. Now we need Gigi to do that. And again, rather than building this prescriptive legacy software UI that would have taken a lot of time, it still takes us time, but the speed with which we can do so is super fast. And our ability to expose a new tool to Gigi and train her on what this tool means and the impact that it can have and how to do this successfully for our customers is just exponentially faster than legacy SaaS. And so that's why we've been able to grow so quickly. And more broadly, this isn't even about us, but if you start to see now across a bunch of different verticals, all of these AI first companies are like, whoa, like how do they do so much so quickly? It's because the LLM is doing a lot of the work rather than prescriptive software development that would normally take a lot more time.
Wild. Yeah, that all makes a ton of sense. What's it been like? So like it's interesting. I'll give you maybe the reason why my brain flew to this question next. Like for me, as we build our agency, like the folks that we're pulling into our team and scaling with, I've done all the work. Kyle's done all the work. so when now we're managing people, it's like we've been doing all of this work. If they're going to take anything off my plate, like I've been building this from scratch for a long time. When it comes to software, is it more of like you as the leader have to be like, hey, I know I want this outcome for our client, and I know I want it to look and feel like this. And then you have to give a lot more trust and ownership to, like, let's say like software engineers on the team, because like that's always something I'm always curious with software companies in general is like, as a leader, how do you lead folks who probably are doing things that, like, I mean, if I had a software engineer on our team, I would have no idea what they're doing or how they're doing it. You know what I mean? How is that? How does that work?
Well, I'm fortunate that I don't have to have too much of a hands-on role in exactly how things are built. I typically find myself just asking a lot of questions on why we're doing things and relying on our incredible team members to figure out the how and the implementation. You've met Gloria, our head of product. We have an amazing design leader, Michaela. But I think to credit all of our engineers, most, if not all of our engineers are not just folks that are writing code based on product requirements that Gloria has provided them, but are additive to the conversation on the problem that we're solving to the customer to bring potential engineering solutions that non-technical folks on the team may not even consider.
Okay.
And so when we come with our team with a customer problem, we come to it maybe from a product or design perspective of how we would propose a solution. But there's often engineering solutions and engineering trade-offs and opportunities to add an even better experience to our customers. And I think that's the thing that I love working with this team the most, is that all of our team members understand the problem deeply that we're trying to solve.
Okay.
And bring solutions to provide as much value as possible to our customers as fast as possible.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's a good example of like you would have to let go and trust a team, right? Like, and I think that's something I'm personally learning as I evolve in my career. Is it's got to like let go and trust people. But in your world, that's like even more important and a must. What has it been like since you started? Like, I'm sure there's been a million, and you already said you guys made like a complete pivot to basically a different setup. But like, what's been the biggest surprise or like biggest struggle you've dealt with in starting Gigi? Is there like one major thing that stood out?
Good question, Shane. This is my third time being a founder. And since I've been this is probably, I think, a little over a decade since I started my second company, the one that got acquired. And so I had always worked hard. Like I was a lawyer. I worked at an Indian fintech company. I was early employee at Perpetua and certainly like put in a lot of hours at Perpetua. So the hours are not too big of a surprise. Like obviously I work hard and we all work hard at Gigi in order to build this business. It's not the hours, but the highs and lows really get you.
Oh, I bet.
You feel the highs and lows a lot. And the highs are super high and the lows are super low. And, you feel some of these highs and lows so much in a single day. And I forgot what that felt like.
Oh, sure. Yeah, man. That's something I don't know if people if you can understand what you just talked about until you've been through that. Because I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. You're probably at an even higher level than me, I bet.
Maybe, but it affects everyone. It affects everyone. Like
yeah.
You try and be as even keel as possible, not to get too high, not to get too low, but you can't not do it when it's your company, when you're the largest shareholder on the cap table, it's your name, it's your baby. You can't not get too high and too low. I try and not wear my emotions on my sleeve, but certainly team members can tell when I'm having a good day or a bad day.
That's a good answer, man, because entrepreneurship is this wild thing where I think you hear all this like flashy stuff, you hear all the famous stories, but I think time and time again, the more people I've talked to on here, it's like that right there is like the macro summary of what starting a business is like. There's not a lot of just even keeled days, I would argue. There's a lot of highs and lows, and it's not even days, it's just like hours. There's a really good hour and a really shitty hour, and there's a lot of those in a day, and it's exhausting.
Yes, I think the guidance to a founder is you just have to be completely impervious to adversity. Adversity just has to like rub right off of you. Like any adversity that you face, just have to move forward.
Consistency. Yeah.
Just the next day, you just got to move forward. Like being a founder is a function of being thrown problems every single day. The problems are new, the problems are different, the problems are big, the problems are small. And once you realize that solving those problems is the joy and skill of it all and not a burden of it, you start to realize that you just need to move forward and solve more problems.
I love that. That's such good advice. Yeah, that really is. You're a professional firefighter, really. You're just putting out fires and solving problems. That's really what a founder is, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like you guys have at least, this is probably a horrible question. I was gonna say, do you guys feel like you're past I feel like you're past like that 0 to 1. Like you have a product that's finding success. You're getting some accolades from even Amazon already. So do you feel like you're kind of in this 1 to 2 where it's like, okay, the nuts and bolts of what we wanted to set out to do, they're coming together, or they're together. Now it's like, how do we take this to the masses? Is that kind of where Gigi, you would say, is that in the spectrum of the lifeline of Gigi?
I think we're a little too premature for that, Shane.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
And I'm hesitant to say that we're at that next scale phase because, again, maybe I'm working too much with Amazon, but Amazon has that philosophy of it's always day one.
Of that.
And it's always day one at Gigi. Every day is new. Every day is a new adventure. There's so many more problems to solve. There's so much more ambition for us to continue to grow. And, we're a 14-person team. We're an awesome 14-person team. Once we're maybe a 30-person team, we're at that next stage and we're starting to scale a little bit more, but we're definitely very early. Personally sell to every single new customer.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Once we move off of founder-led sales, that's probably when we're at that next stage. And I don't believe that's going to happen in the next 6 months.
Okay. Fair enough. That's a really good answer. I was curious on that because that usually is the inflection point that you see is the founders don't have to do all the selling anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like you're the kind of person that I feel like I feel
it.
like you'll be a little sad when that day comes. I don't know if you'll love that.
Look, I like it because it allows me to be close to the customer. I can see viscerally what gets people excited about our product and what doesn't, and I can relay that to the team. So I genuinely enjoy being as close to the customer as possible. So I'm better at sales than I am at account management. So sales is the thing that gets me closer to the customer. And I think the challenge that I'm going to have with Gigi is that I have very high expectations of obviously everyone on the team, but I have particularly high expectations for jobs that I personally do.
Yeah.
And once I start to give away the Legos of the job that I do, whoever that first sales rep is might have a tough couple first months.
Hopefully they listen to this podcast and have that context before, right?
Maybe.
Where is Gigi going? I know that's a really hard question to follow up with, but I guess before you even answer, just because I've seen what it can do. I have told you, and I'll tell you publicly, I have not worked directly with your product yet, but I've seen enough of it, and you obviously know Gloria, know you now. It's very impressive, and I can only imagine where it's going. So I'm very, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today, and it's funny, if I go back through a lot of the guests I've had on here, one of the things I think I've actually done a pretty decent job at is having people on before their story is well known. That's kind of one of the things I really try to do is I want to get you before you're widely known.
Cool.
I absolutely think you're going to be one of the founders that we fast forward a year and a half, and everyone's like, holy shit, you had Adam on the pod? I'm telling you, I'm that bullish on what you're building. So
love it.
Yeah, where do you think this is going? What's the outcome for Gigi and the company you're building? Do you have one in your mind, or are you just trying to solve this problem and go as fast as you can?
Our outcome is to build a really big business. This is an awesome opportunity. Media channels that we work with are growing 20% year on year and is probably collectively $100 billion. E-commerce isn't going anywhere. And I think the problems that we want to start to tackle is right now we're focusing on the enterprise media manager on the Amazon DSP. Who are all of the people that team member works with, and how can we begin to build agentic AI workflows for the concentric circles of people that team member would work with?
Okay.
So if it's programmatic media manager on Amazon DSP and Trade Desk. If it's Amazon ads specialist doing sponsored ads and DSP, that person. If it's starting to automate retail workflows on Amazon, because now it's the Amazon brand manager and P&L owner, that person. And so it's the concentric circles of mid to junior level roles that touch the current role that we are enhancing.
Very
is
cool.
where we want to expand. We think that there are over 1 million people globally that do these roles. And
wow, is it that many?
at least the data that we
Whoa.
crunch to size the market opportunity represents about $70 billion in labor costs. I think that's right.
Goodness.
Maybe more.
Damn.
And we just think that that's a huge market opportunity, and we want to just continue to build. We feel so fortunate to just be building in this space. Like, one of the things that really excites me, I was chatting with, so you talk with a lot of brand owners. So one of our early customers at Perpetua was a company called Hero Cosmetics, which Church and Dwight bought for over $600 million. I was fortunate enough to build a great relationship with the founder, a woman named Juru, who's one of the investors in Gigi. And I caught up with her in LA, and she's like, how do you like being a founder? She actually advised me to, she said, like, when we were building Perpetua, she was like, Adam, when are you going to start your company?
Cool.
And I told her, like, hey, Ju, like, that actually meant a lot and gave me the confidence that I need, that I could wear this hat again, coming from someone like you. And I was so fortunate and grateful that she, like, backed that up.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Writing a small check in our company. And she asked me, like, how do you like being a founder again? I'm like, look, being a founder is fun. It's awesome. There's highs and lows. We just spoke about that. But the thing that I'm just feel so grateful and amazing about is it's just so cool to work with LLMs every single day. Like, every single member of our small 14-person team is getting a black belt in working with AI.
Oh, yeah.
And this is like the best possible skill that you could possibly develop in 2026 and beyond.
For sure.
And there's just a thirst for learning that exists across our entire company. And I'm just so thankful and grateful that we get to do it every day.
So cool. I mean, that's something I didn't even thought about, was just like, yeah, your team now is going to be at the ground. It's like building first websites when the internet rolled out. I know you're running out of time and you have a hard stop. So last question I always ask that I would love to understand from you, since you're an AI wizard that's building a sick company. What tools do you use, Adam, to plan out annual goals, way bigger goals, all the way down to like the shit you got to get done today? Are you a pen and paper guy? Do you have some software that you're using? Like, what is it that you put around yourself to stay productive?
I don't have annual goals. I don't do that. Maybe I should. We obviously have goals for Gigi and metrics and North Stars that we want to hit. That's funny, Shane. I'll end this and try and I do have to go, so I'll try and be as brief as possible on this. I grew up in a decent area in Toronto. My parents bought this house when I was 10 years old for, I'm happy to share numbers, like it's nothing crazy, for a little under $500,000 when I was 10 years old. It wasn't an amazing house. It was a perfectly normal house that a family of 5 lived in. There wasn't anything sick, but it was a nice house in a good area. That house they sold not too long ago for $3.8 million.
Whoa. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. But then they had to buy another house that they live in. And like, again, like it's not sick. It just speaks to like Toronto real estate and like the comfort.
Appreciation though.
The amount that you need to earn here. And so like, I've sold a company. I've been an early shareholder of a company. I still can't afford that house. And we all want to be a little bit better and a little bit more comfortable than what we were when we grew up, right?
So
like,
true.
You don't want to be worse than when you grew up for the family that you're going to build.
Yeah, true.
And so my North Star goal, my like floor that I need to hit, and I'm 40 right now, so maybe I'm like a little bit behind there, is I just want to at least be able to afford the house that I grew up in and raise a
that's
family
cool.
in that house at a degree of comfort. So that's my goal, Shane.
I love it, man. That's
hopefully Gigi can take us there and well beyond that, but at least that's my goal.
That's a killer way to end the podcast. Adam, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show, man.
Cool,
I'm pumped for you. It was great to have you on.
Take care.
See you, man.